What's What's up, YouTube? Dax the Leader here, and I'm back. It's been a hot minute, like 2 months or so. I realized like my willingness to upload is like very closely related to how well I'm doing in leagues. So I was getting kind of bodied in the PTL and just lost all motivation to upload at that point. But I found myself with some free time, so I figured I'd do a battle review at the very least. Um, yeah. So here we have a game that was submitted to me back in February between Starvin' Pig, Wellington Ho-Oh, Starvin' Pig, who is Wellington Ho-Oh, for those of you who do not know, and Zombie Captains, who's a good friend of mine. I mean, they're both good friends of mine. But Zombie's been on the channel before. You know him from PTL. Funny enough, on the day I'm recording this, it's Zombie's birthday. So, although I did wish him already happy birthday, bro, now you can just hear me say it. So, yeah. This game, this is my second time trying to record this video, actually. Just coming back into it, I'm like rusty as hell. My voice is like cracking all over the place because I was just working out. Yeah. So I know how this game ends, but I'm gonna go over it one more time and just kind of tell you where I think the misplays happened, and I'm gonna try to come up with like a general takeaway in this second viewing. Yeah, which is what I always do with my battle reviews, right? So, on Pig's side, potential leads could be Suicune, Rotom if it's Z, and it's a not very split F Gliscor. I think Z Rotom has a chance to take out any Gliscor, actually, don't quote me on that. Diancie could lead just to get a Protect off. That's what I like doing with my Diancie usually. And yeah, I think those are the best leads on Pig's part. Even Breloom's not... Nah, Breloom's not great. From Zombie's side, Gliscor seems like a very solid lead. It beats everything except Suicune, or it gets up rocks against everything but Suicune. And yeah, I think Tangrowth is alright, but considering Rotom is so free, then I wouldn't lead Tangrowth. Vaporeon, same thing. So I kind of think that Gliscor is arguably the only lead on Zombie's part. And as we can see, what happens is that we get, oh yeah, Hoopo is actually not a bad option either. It kind of just gets an attack off on anything. There was no guarantee that it would survive, though, against maybe the Diancie. That would have sucked for it. But I guess and against the Banded Zygarde also, unless it had some move that could one-shot Zygarde, I don't know. Well, okay, sorry. Rather, Hoopa is good against what I predicted. Against these two, right? Which were the most likely besides Diancie. Which, he's pretty weak to Diancie, actually. So, I don't know if letting Diancie get a free lead like that was the play. But considering he could have led Gliscor or Vaporeon, there's a lot of things that forced Diancie out. Anyway, mind games here. Hard to make a hard call, but this is what happened. So, oh, like I'm reading the chat now. Zombie had a Jolteon that he didn't bring, which, yeah, could have been dangerous for the Zygarde, for the Suicune. If he got some HP Ice turns right, could have messed up the Breloom as well. And Pig didn't bring a Jirachi, which would have checked Mawile and mostly Mawile, pretty well. So that's something to note. In terms of checks to those Mons, yeah, Pig would have been fine versus Jolteon. Probably he had ways of playing around it. And versus Jirachi, Zombie could have burned it with Vaporeon, and he had Hoopa and Mawile, which has coverage, and Gliscor, which has coverage. And Como, it's kind of a neutral matchup between Como and Jirachi, I think. And Tangrowth, I think, would beat Jirachi. Anyway, we have the Hoopa and the Suicune here. And what ends up happening is that Hoopa goes for a Thunderbolt turn 1, which does, after I calculated earlier, that's pretty average damage for like a non-boosted item Hoopa, so it could be like Nasty Plot or Scarf. And predicting a second Thunderbolt, what happens is that in comes the Rotom, and he doubles into Como-O, and I think he was expecting the Rotom here. This is a play that I disagree with, because as you're going to see, yeah, Como-O ends up being faster, but he gets off a burn, which makes Como-O just seriously less deadly throughout the entire course of the game. Even though, a bit of spoiler, it survives for a long time. But you're gonna see, if it didn't get this burn right here, it would have got that kill versus Drapion. I don't know why Drapion came in here and why it was the check to Como-O. You could have had Roar Suicune, which would have been much more reliable. But instead it's Whirlwind Drapion. I don't know if it's like Sash or something. But, yeah. Unfortunately for Zombie, Vaporeon comes in here and Pig can afford to just throw off a Toxic, which also hurts the Drapion's longevity. It hurts the Vaporeon, man, it's confusing. Hurts the Vaporeon's longevity a lot. Here's where we see Pig pull out like a, classic Pig move. Goes for the, I would assume, the HP Ice, does a decent chunk to that Tangrowth, and then he lets his Rotom get Toxic here. Not like he had much of another play. He had to find a way to force out this Tangrowth. But now we know that Tangrowth is not Assault Vest, which is going to come into play later. So this Tangrowth is forced out, goes into Gliscor. If this was a Z move Rotom, which it totally could be at this point in the game, Gliscor would have got obliterated right here. And I think if he had the Z Overheat, this was the turn to go for it. Then again, with the Como-O burned, it's kind of a free switch into Rotom, sort of, but then if you Volt Switch, that would let in Diancie. I don't know if in the end Overheat would have been the play here, but he does go for the Volt Switch and get caught by the Gliscor. So Rotom's taking its toxic damage, and now he goes for the Como-O. I guess he just wanted to get his Toxic Orb activated. That's respectable enough. Como-O, he brings in Suicune on the Gliscor, probably just wanting to heal up or something against rocks or whatever. And yeah, we've got this Suicune versus Como-O here. So Suicune probably doesn't have Roar, because Drapion had the Whirlwind, right? So I think, in my mind, Zombie should just start setting up here. Eventually you'll get worn down, and you can fear the Ice Beam a little bit, but if you just set up to like +3 or so, then you should be kind of good, because that's what you need to do to outspeed everything and kill everything, I think. I didn't run the calcs, but as you're going to see, there's a calc that comes up very important later on. The Suicune's not in range right now unless he goes for a Dragon move, which he can't really do. Or rather, hold on. He can't, if he has Outrage, he can't go for it, because then Diancie comes in and basically picks up a kill. Yeah, actually, it kind of does. And yeah, so I guess all he can do is really Drain Punch in terms of damage, but I think somewhere in those sequence of turns, he could have afforded to go for another Dragon Dance. Not that it would have changed any net damage versus Suicune, I don't think. Maybe. I don't entirely know how that works, honestly. But as you're going to see here, the Suicune has Rest, and it's going to force out this Como-O. So Como-O is super weakened, it's burned, and had Como-O not been burned, it would have had a lot of chances to get burned by the Suicune, but none of those are guaranteed. He does just sack off the Breloom, giving this thing a ton more health, which, just to get in Diancie, which, that works. And yeah, at +2 and burned, Como-O couldn't kill it. And it's also safe to assume that it doesn't have a Steel move, because it had Earthquake. and his last move that wasn't revealed yet, and spoilers won't get revealed, is probably a dragon move to hit the Zygarde. So yeah, now that's another reason I think more setup would have been beneficial in order to not give this Diancie the free turns that it's going to get right now. It's going to be able to Moonblast with the Vaporeon, and that does a ton. The special attack drop is really big because now Diancie can stay in. And it won't, but it could have. And the Vaporeon is just going to Scald. Yeah, and it's going to start racking up this toxic damage. Now, it's going to switch out without wishing, which is another play that I don't fully agree with, because now you can't switch into Diancie anymore, right? I think you've got to think about these things, right? Think about what you're going to need these mons for later on. Unless he unless Zombie just doesn't understand that no other mon can take 2 hits, no other mon on his team can take 2 hits from Diancie. He should have ran that calc in that moment and realized that he needs this Vaporeon. So yeah, but Pig does try to capitalize and try to wake up here. He goes back into Como-O, so we've got that's not quite a stall war here, but we have seen at this point that Como-O is not going to beat the Suicune. So, like I said, because of the coverage that was revealed, Pig knows he can just get his Diancie back in here, and check this out. Gliscor gets obliterated. Completely obliterated. So, yeah, now he knows he really needed that Vaporeon. Luckily for Zombie, this does give him a relatively safe switch into Mawile. But, what's going to happen here? He goes for the substitute, which works out. Ultimately, he's going to sack his Diancie anyway. But he gets a lot of good damage on Mawile, and now Zygarde also gets to come in here. Mawile was surprisingly not that great in this matchup. Looking at all his mons, right? All of Pig's mons, the only thing Mawile really got in for free on was the Drapion, unless it had like the Earthquake, or the Breloom lacking Spore. If it found out that the Breloom didn't have Spore, Mawile could always come in on Breloom. Yes, it trades in a sense with the Diancie, but it loses all this health. It's really not getting the value that Mega Mawile normally gets in these kind of games. Here we find out that it's a special Zygarde, right? And this is cool because we know now that the Tangrowth is not Assault Vest, Sludge Wave does 1,000,000, and we see the weakness policy. So, if the Hoopa is not Scarf, Zygarde should just win here, right? He goes for the Core Enforcer, Tangrowth goes down, and Vaporeon comes out now. This goes down, or not quite, rather. No, he does, yeah. Vaporeon lives long enough to get a Haze off, but it's going to go down to the next Core Enforcer, especially after Toxic damage. Yeah, which makes me think, let me try to remember, this Hoopa ends up outspeeding the Zygarde. So, I guess he was fearing the extreme speed, otherwise Scarf Hoopa was always the play here. Now, the tides have completely turned in the sense that Hoopa might just be able to win this game at this point. We see the Rotom come out. The Suicune's healthy enough. It's at full, actually. And if it has Calm Mind, and if Pig gets lucky with some Sleep Talk rolls, then Suicune wins this game. But he decides not to risk that, just goes for the Overheat. And I guess at any point it doesn't, he wants to get, I mean, he would have gotten Suicune in safely regardless. But, let's see, yeah, here we see this Suicune doesn't have Sleep Talk, is essentially what happens. Because he doesn't go for it there. So now he's going to try to 1v1 this Como-O, which is a lot harder because the Como-O is burned. We already know that the Como-O is not going to be able to beat it. Yeah. So, what we're going to see here, this Suicune's going to beat the Como-O, but it's going to be left at a low enough amount of HP Even if Zombie Dragon danced here, I don't like Dragon Dance on any of these turns. I don't think that would make a difference. He just wants it in range of Hoopa, and because Suicune doesn't have Sleep Talk, there's really no point of resting here. Ultimately, yeah, he puts it in range. If Hoopa gets a good roll here, which it's like a mid roll, my calc says that Thunderbolt does 50 to 59. That's not even max special attack. That's like the standard OU set with some HP. 50 to 60. All right, so yeah, that's a low roll even. But yeah, Pig didn't really bring a way to recover HP on Suicune aside from leftovers. Like he didn't have Protect or anything. He just had the rest. I don't know what his other moves were. I can't think of what they would be. He would have gone for Ice Beam if he had it, I think. He would have gone for Calm Mind Sleep Talk if he had it, I think. And he would have gone for Protect Sub Shenanigans if he had him. So I really don't know what was up with that Suicune. Anyway, so in the end, this all amounted to, I think, I'm not gonna say Pig played better than Zombie, but there's a lot more obvious mistakes that Zombie made. For example, a lot of these turns he just didn't think about when he'd need these mods in the future. The Como-O, he just kind of let it get burned, right? And the Vaporeon, he just kind of let it get toxic and beat down by the Diancie, right? Instead of healing it up or preserving the Como-O in any of those situations. Not that he had a great option to bring in on the Rotom. Zygarde wasn't, Gliscor wasn't toxic at that point, I don't think. You know what? Let me find out. Probably not. Because this has happened almost immediately, right? Yeah, like turn 4 already. So, I think, what do you do there? He could have gone Vaporeon. If he went Vaporeon on that turn, that would have been nice. Because, I guess he could have seen a Volt Switch, though. Or just even stayed in, right? Yeah. What's going to happen here? Right? Rotom comes in. If it takes a Psychic, yeah, that sucks. I guess he could have predicted the Drapion as well. Or no, sorry, he was locked into Thunderbolt. And I guess that's how that indicates that this is a Scarf Hoopa or whatever. But the reason Zombie won this game, even though he made more outright misplays, I think, is that, yeah, Pig wasn't really ready for the, he just let his offense go down too early, right? His Diancie, I mean, he couldn't really have preserved the Diancie. Diancie did a great job. I think Diancie was his MVP here. Zygarde also could have won if it wasn't for Scarf Hoopa. I guess he wasn't ready for Scarf Hoopa. He didn't have a Scarf of his own, it looks like. And yeah, he just kind of had a few weird sets. I don't think the weird sets even hurt him, though. I think, like, the sets that he had, the Breloom and the Zygarde, could have won. It's just that Zombie's offense was around longer than Pig's offense. They both had, like, you have your defensive core here of your fire, water, and then, like, just a throwaway. I'm not going to call it a throwaway mon, but, like, it did kind of get thrown away in the Drapion. And then you've got your water, grass, and then a third defensive mon here, and the rest are offensive. Same with Pig here, the rest are offensive. This was a super close game, which is why I'm glad it was submitted to me. It's hard to have one main takeaway. I guess for both of you guys, like, really think about what you're going to need later on in the game. You got to think, like, multiple turns ahead for, like, next time this threat comes in, what am I going to do about it, right? And I guess that's what, yeah, Pig, in the end, didn't manage that as well as Zombie did, because he wasn't prepared for the Hoopa. He just kind of let Drapion take all the damage from Como-O. I think Drapion, had it still been around, would have been able to beat the Hoopa, or at least Hoopa couldn't have locked itself into anything that would beat the remainder of the mons that Pig had he kept Drapion. So, yeah. Finally, think multiple turns ahead, guys. Really preserve your checks. And that's kind of it. So thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, retweet, and maybe even subscribe. But until next time, later guys.